All right. I'd like to call to order the Vernon Hills Park District Board of Commissioners regular board meeting dated January 28th, 2001. It is now 6 o'clock. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Kessler?
Here.
Commissioner Robbins?
Here.
Commissioner Moline? Here. Commissioner Sente?
Here.
President Dorhofer?
Here, and for the record, Commissioner Moline is calling in from a remote location. Next item on the agenda is the omnibus vote agenda. Items under the omnibus vote agenda are considered routine and/or non-controversial and will be approved by one motion. If a separate vote on any one item is desired, it will be pulled from the omnibus vote agenda and voted on separately. Items of the omnibus vote agenda tonight are the minutes of the regular board meeting dated December 17, 2020, payroll and payables through January 28, 2021 in the amount of $671,849.46. Could I have a motion to approve the omnibus vote agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Moline?
Yes.
Commissioner Sente?
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
President Dorhofer?
Yes, next item on the agenda is the financial report for the period ending December 31st, 2020. Marla, are there any changes to the financial reports that are currently on file?
No changes.
Very good. Next item on the agenda is the welcome to the visitors and guests public comment period. Seeing as we are alone this evening, we will move to unfinished business, and we have none. So we'll move directly to committee and communication with Executive Director Fougeroux. Jeff?
Okay, thank you. I think just wanted to, I think everybody's aware of the update on the water reservoir project. And, at this point, everything's looks like it's moving forward with the Village of Mundelein. Also, the Village of Vernon Hills is engaged in that conversation, along with the Lake County Public Works Department. So I had a conversation late last week with Gary Gibson, the county administrator, and just trying to get a little bit more insight on when and that project will be getting authorized. And he said it's still probably going to be about early to mid-March before they get all the documents in place. But it did sound very supportive that effort was going to be moving forward. So that was good. We are in Tier 1 of the mitigation, which I think I shared with you just the other day, the guidance pro forma that's put out by the governor and IDPH, and just trying to, we're doing what we have to do to comply with those guidance. So it does. Every time, it gets us a little bit more where we can move the pendulum and have more people in the building and have more people in programs. It just yesterday, I think it was, we got word from the governor's office too, in conjunction with IHSA, the Illinois High School Association, where they're gonna allow some sports to commence. For us, we were waiting on the youth basketball, which is a big program for us. And so Jay's working right now on getting that program together. We're looking at starting that program either the week of the Saturday the 13th or Saturday the 20th of February. It's going to be different because right now you can't play competitive games against other teams. So the way it's going to be set up is that they'll put a team together where they might have 14 kids on a team, and they can inter-scrimmage with 7 and 7 within each of the teams until we can get maybe to the next level where they can actually have some competitive play. Our region, which is Region 9, is not permitted at that point to do that. And so we're hoping if that, that verdict comes through shortly, then we can position ourselves to do that. But Lake County is not quite there yet. There are several other regions throughout the state that already have permitted. They're already into phase 4, and we're not just quite there yet. So the whole phasing and the tier thing, it's a little convoluted, but safe to say we're just doing what we can to follow, the letter of the law. You have a couple of abatement ordinances on the agenda tonight. Those are standard statute obligations we have to have the board adopt every year. Those basically tie in with our 2 bond issues we've done over the last several years. We have our scheduled budget workshop on Thursday, the 25th of February. Right now, we have a scheduled 4:30 start, followed by our regular board meeting at 6 p.m. So one of the items I know I discussed with President Duerhofer today was just potentially adding in the capital improvement plan as part of the budget workshop. And so that's an action item on the agenda tonight that, you know, if you're going to table that item, then we'll need to talk about if we want to extend the time of that workshop, because I think we'll need a little more than 90 minutes. And so my suggestion, if that does get tabled, that we keep the 4:30 start and we just push the start of the board meeting to 7 p.m. instead of 6 p.m. But I'm open to, you know, discussion on that if that's something indifferent the board wants to do. We've got a public officials and administrators scheduled meeting next Wednesday. That's at 3 p.m. So I know Commissioner Kessler has already engaged that she's interested in joining that. If anybody else is, please let me know and I'll get you the link and you can join us on that call. You have a salary classification schedule. That's an annual document that we put before the board per board direction. It also is a document that we have to, every 2 years, we have to get approved for accreditation processing as well. So that just needs an authorization by the board president once it's adopted. We talked about the CIP. You've got a merit survey in there. We have a staff recommendation before the board. And then I wanted to just take a quick minute on just an update with just employee and kind of staffing procedures over since last March, actually. And so I included just a timeline of where we've been through all of 2020. And as we approach the new fiscal year, you know, where we think we're going to be. So I think one of the things we got to be upfront about is that, you know, it was a tough 2020, and this year's going to be just as tough. And you'll see that, I think, once we get into our budget proposals, that, you know, they're going to be extremely conservative because, you know, a lot of us, just even in the industry, we talk to a lot of our colleagues, and we just still are not quite there that people are going to be comfortable enough that, you know, the volume of participation and quite frankly, you know, we may be at the mercy of what the guidance allows us to do as well. So we'll have limitations on that. But we have 4 full-time positions that we removed this past year, and it doesn't look like we're going to be getting those back anytime soon. So that was something we had to, you know, we had to do for the sake of and then those that were furloughed that we brought back in the summer, late last summer. We've repurposed a lot of people to keep them active as well. We're very fortunate to get support funding from the county on a couple of, you know, both our COVID expenses and our PALS e-learning program. Those were really helpful for us on top of just, you know, the federal and the state government supporting efforts at 100% with our unemployment benefits. So you can see the math there, you know, that Marla's run. It's, you know, well over $500,000 that, you know, contributed to helping us with some of our expenses this year. And I know we brought to the board just last month a projection, and Marla and I just this afternoon, you know, went back through that projection, and it's still very much, we're pretty confident that that number was around 117,000. That's still pretty accurate in terms of where we're going to be at year end, which is really quite good comparatively to where we were thinking, you know, back last April and May. We do have some additional funding coming into the district in June with 2 development projects going on in the community that'll bring us some fair amount of revenue with impact fees. And so that'll be a conversation we'll have next month too with the capital plan and how we want to implement some of those funds to get back and doing some projects, because as you know, basically all of 2020, we didn't do anything. We froze all of that, and a good part of the 6 months of this first year is the same way. So we do need to, visit some of those, I'll just call them safety-oriented and really important projects. And then just, where we're at, we're just kind of late third quarter, probably more like early fourth quarter of this year is when we hope to see that, the vast majority of the country will be vaccinated, and people will be a little more comfortable with opening things up, and that's as good a guess, I think, as anybody else right now, is what we're kind of hearing within the industry. And so that would position us then at least as we get into the second half of our fiscal year, that we feel a little bit better about some of our revenue receipts coming in a little bit more steady than they will be maybe the first half of the fiscal year. So that's just a quick synopsis of the employees. Certainly want to thank the board back early on, and when we faced this, and the board was very supportive of keeping a lot of our staff employed for the first couple months that the virus hit us. But then, we got to a point where we had to furlough a significant amount of our staff, and then we weren't able to get them back until like early fall. But here we are, and we've got people, we've got a full force, with the exception of those 4 employees that we had to remove. So I'm happy to answer any questions. That would just conclude my report.
Any questions for Jeff? Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is Finance and HR Superintendent Marla DeSico. Marla?
Thank you. I'll just add a quick comment where Jeff left off. So, when we say that this year and next year are not going to be, great years, are going to be bad years, the revenues are going to be bad. But we have taken the proper steps, whether it's expenses, whether it's going after grants, whether it's reducing projects, that our bottom line really is going to be fine. We're projecting basically a break even for this year and next year. Due to the impact fees, I know we're going to be positive, but we also want to filter that out and make sure that operationally, we're still doing well. But we're taking the appropriate steps so that even though our revenues are down, it's not going to affect our bottom line. It's not going to affect our reserves. Jeff and I also looked at that, and our 25% per policy will still be met both this year and next year. In fact, because expenses are down as a percent, it's actually going to go up over 25% because our expenses are down. But even if you were looking at more typical expenditures, we would still be in good shape. So I just want you to know, even though we keep saying bad year, overall, we're in very healthy shape. We're just not receiving as much revenue. And then just a couple of comments from my actual report. So we're doing well in our collection for property taxes. We've received over 96%. It'll be interesting, though, to see what still comes in. Typically, there's a very small default, but this could be a year where we have a little bit more of a default, but we're down to only expecting about another 182,000. But we have taken that into account. So our projection for the end of this year, we were more conservative in what we were putting in for property tax receipts. For investments, usually we're very active in investing in CDs, but they're almost really not worth investing in right now. We have found that we can make the same or similar rates in just money market accounts, and then we can kind of wait till there's better opportunity. So we're slowly moving our investments just into kind of holding them in money market accounts. Jeff mentioned we have the abatement ordinances tonight, so just very quickly, both our larger general obligation bonds, the $4 million from 2013 and the $6 million from 2016. The verbiage in those ordinances create a direct annual tax as well as an abatement. We choose not to do a direct annual tax based on the ordinance. We do it instead when we issue our annual rollover bond. That's where we tax to get the money to pay those principal and interest payments on the long-term debt. And then we do that rollover bond up to our debt limit, so it also provides some additional money that we use each year. We always kind of call them the BINA funds. But that kind of $300,000 to $500,000 in addition that we can get to use towards projects. So that's that annual process, and so this is just one step in that process, the abatement of the original direct tax in the ordinances. I have filed our 2020 Certificate of Status of Exempt Property, which has to be done annually so that we do not get any property tax levied on the properties of the Park District. And on a positive note for staff, part of Paderma's wellness program, which is called PATH, they offer employees the opportunity to earn up to $400 a year by completing all sorts of wellness activities and going to the doctor and being active and counting steps and, you know, all of those kind of things. So I'll say of the 34 eligible employees, 26 of them earned the $400, and then between the 26 and 34, they were lesser amounts, but it's been a very popular program. Amy's running it now, and she's been doing a really good job getting people motivated. So I think that's, you know, one of the few things you can do, especially for Paderma, to try to reduce healthcare costs is to make people more involved in their own healthcare. So it's been a good program. So if anyone has any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Marla. Appreciate it. Jeff, are there any highlights from either James's report or Cheryl's report you'd like to fill us in on?
Real quickly on, first of all, I just wanted to back up because I didn't get a chance. Amy is absent tonight. She broke her ankle
No.
earlier in the week, and she's actually having surgery tomorrow morning.
Oh, wow.
She's got a couple pins in it and a plate. She did a really, yeah, so she's going to be out of commission for a little bit. So, so thoughts and prayers to her with everything for tomorrow morning, that they go well. James wanted me to remind our residents that we do have a leash policy with our dogs in our parks. Apparently, the last few weeks, we're seeing more and more residents that are walking their dogs unleashed and letting them run. So we have signage throughout our larger parks where we're finding this: Deer Path, Grosse Pointe, Century. We're working with the police department to enforce it, as well as our park staff when they're out, doing their daily rounds in our parks, that they encourage people and remind people that, we prefer that they leash their dogs, because we had a couple of bite incidents that have led us to be a little more assertive in our efforts in that. The weather's been very cooperative, bad for us as humans, but great for those that like skating. Both our skate rinks are open to the public out at Century Park. They are lighted. Fortunately, our warming shelter is not open. We do have the restrooms available for people, but because of the current guidance issues, and then the sled hill is plenty of snow on there for people to take active participation in that. You may notice some of our signs around, like even as you pull in Sullivan, our big wooden sign, that's being cleaned up by our park staff, and they just do all that internally. They repair the wooden sign, so that should be coming back shortly here. They try to do typically about 4 to 6 signs a year that they'll pull out and clean up. Also, a farewell to Tom Bodkin. Tom retired last month, and he'd been with us for just shy of 10 years. He was always a happy face that would welcome. He was a great public relations employee for the district, both when he was at Lashen and when he was over here. He's sold his home in Mundelein, and he's relocating down. Him and his wife, they're going down to Ocala, Florida.
Top of the world,
Yes.
it's called. I love it.
So certainly, he wanted me to pass along to the board just huge thanks. He's been really he's a guy that'll be missed for us, and so we wish him good health and, you know, in his years of his retirement. From a Lakeview standpoint, again, the mitigations are allowing us to bring a few more people in. We did a recent survey with our membership on whether people want to continue to come in live, because we can take you know, up to like 12 to 15 people for Group X classes. That isn't really happening at a high level. A lot of people are still interested in virtual classes. So Lacey's working on a kind of a timeline right now with her Group X staff of those that may be interested in coming in, just to do smaller units and groups. So you'll start to see some of that kind of pull together in probably the next few weeks. We resumed our swim team. We resumed swim lessons. Our swim team actually is you know, numbers are adequate. Our swim lessons not so much. So we're gonna, you know, take a close look on that. And that's something that Robert has been working with both Lacey and Marla and I on, just, you know, future budgeting with that particular program. And then you see some of the facility uses in your report, although albeit it may be a little bit challenging to see the bar, you know, graph, but one indicates the amount of people that come in on a daily basis. The other is, you know, how many people are using like Group X classes. And it's been pretty status quo, I would say, over the last, you know, 60 days. It's a pretty even spike. And we'll just, you know, gear up and see what happens as we approach, you know, the later months in the winter here, see what happens. So I just wanted to kind of fill everybody in on that. Any questions on behalf of any of the other staff that you might have?
Any questions for Jeff? Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is Commissioner Committee Reports and Communications. We have none. So we'll move to board correspondence. We did receive a letter from Adrienne Johnson. She writes, "Dear Jeff, thank you for allowing us to host the coat drive at the Sullivan Center last week. We had a great turnout collecting a few coats, including your donation. Your partnership and support are greatly appreciated, and we look forward to working with you and the Vernon Hills Park District in 2021. As always, please contact me if you have any, if I can be of any help to you. Happy New Year. Sincerely, State Senator Adrienne Johnson." So,
Yeah, we could use a park grant, Senator Johnson. How about that?
that would be nice. Next item on the agenda is ordinance 1-21, an ordinance abating the tax hereto levied for year 2020 to pay debt service on the general obligation park bonds alternate revenue source, Series 2013A of the Vernon Hills Park District, Lake County, Illinois. Could I have a motion to approve ordinance 1-21?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Moline?
Yes.
Commissioner Sente?
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
President Dorhofer?
Yes, next item on the agenda is ordinance 2-21, an ordinance abating the tax heretofore levied for year 2020 to pay debt service on the general obligation bonds alternate revenue source, Series 2016A of the Vernon Hills Park District, Lake County, Illinois. Could I have a motion to approve ordinance 2-21?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sente?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Moline? Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
President Dorhofer?
Yes, next item on the agenda is the 2021 through 2025 capital improvement plan. Could I have a motion to approve the 2021 to 2025 plan?
So moved.
Are we,
I thought we
can
were
we talk
moving
about?
it.
Second?
Second.
Second.
Discussion.
I'm not ready to approve this yet.
So would you like to move this forward then
Yes, please,
to
to the,
add it to the board
Budget.
workshop,
Yes,
budget
please.
workshop? Is that okay with everyone? Mike?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Your motion, we're okay with that? Then we will move the capital improvement plan off this docket, move it to next month, and put it on with the board workshop. Next other item on the agenda is the salary classification schedule. Could I have a motion to approve the year 2021, 2022 full-time staff classification schedule?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
I have
Commissioner Robbins?
a question. On the minimum and maximum, were any maximum amounts increased due to the fact that maybe some of our employees had already reached the maximum and wouldn't be able to get an increase? Okay. And where did we get these minimum, maximum amounts?
The 2020 Park and Recreation Compensation Survey that's created by the HR source. And you'll see at the bottom of I used two different categories for comparison. The budget level of 10 to 15, and then the EAV of 1 to 2 billion, which we fall within both of those. So I actually take an average of both of those, because it gives us more districts to compare to. But in each one, I mean, it's slightly different for each position, but within each category, we're probably comparing to at least 15 other park districts, so it's a fairly good amount of comparisons.
And these are park districts in Illinois?
Yes, all in Illinois, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Robbins.
Yes.
Commissioner Moline. Yes. Commissioner Sente.
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler.
Yes.
President Durhofer.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is commissioner comments. Commissioner Kessler.
You missed one, Dave.
Do I get to share the letter that we received? Is now the time?
Yeah.
There's an action item you missed. Item F.
Oh, I'm sorry. 2021 merit recommendation. Could I have a motion to approve the fiscal year 2021-22 merit increase recommendation?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Robbins.
I have what are we approving or disapproving?
Recommendation of 3% merit increase to the budget pool.
Okay. My feeling is I'd like to defer this until we sit down and do our budgeting next month to see what the numbers actually look like for our next fiscal year.
Any other discussion? Mike, any discussion?
I'm thinking, I kind of agree with Bruce.
Okay, can we defer item F, the 2021 merit recommendation, for next month to be coordinated with the budget workshop recommendation?
Just ask, would you like it included in the budget at the 3% so you can see where that puts us?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Next, yeah,
Yeah, as long as you have all those numbers broken out.
We always make a note in our footnotes to the budget, so if we have to change it, it's not hard to do.
Okay.
For the record, so you had a motion and a second, and so the motion dies.
motion dies.
Yeah. Just want to make that clear. Okay?
As did the,
And the last motion too.
Exactly.
as for the motion with the,
Tabled, just the motion died. Yeah.
I just have a question on the merit. So there would be an ideal time of year to present those merit increases to staff? And would those be by having it go to the budget workshop? Does that throw us off a little bit? Or would you give them normally towards the end of the fiscal year, so we're still okay?
The start of the fiscal year, June 1, so we have plenty of time. It
Okay.
won't affect
Okay,
when we give them, or even when we do the evaluations, that's when we need to know, but we don't do those till April.
thank you.
And I just, I think the other comment too would just, you know what, I'll save it for the workshop.
There you go.
Yep.
All right, other new business.
Actually, one other question on the thing. Will the topic of merit be separate? Will we be able to talk about that without staff? Or is that, okay?
Well, it's an open public workshop, so it's an open meeting. So it's not something that you can defer to a closed session conversation. So I think to Marla's comment about, we can provide a budget for the board at 3%, we can provide a budget at 2%, so you can see the difference. We can provide it however you'd like. We can provide it at 0%. What I gave you.
I'd like to see a budget at 0% as well.
Okay. What I gave you was a 3% recommendation based on comps and based on what we thought we could afford. It's actually about it's a little over less than half of 1% impact to the total operation of the district. So that helps a little bit in terms of the guidance.
Cindy, were you asking just that we step out? Will you discuss it?
Well, right, I mean, I guess I was just wondering if we're talking about things, I don't want to offend anyone as we
You would.
talk
You won't.
about.
It's a public meeting, and if they choose to step out for that time, they can do so, or they can choose to stay. It's up to them.
Okay.
President
If they step out,
Dorhofer?
they can always listen later, so it really doesn't matter.
Exactly right, Mike.
President Dorhofer?
Yes, Commissioner
isn't-
Sente.
Isn't the decision that we would be making to set an overall limit, 3%, 2%, whatever we decide, and then that's our job as board members? Then the executive director and the supervisory staff are the ones that decide, will that employee receive the full merit, 3% or less? So we're setting the high threshold.
We're putting a pool together.
We're not deciding each
No,
employee, that's not our job.
We're putting a
right?
pool together. That pool goes to Jeff, and then from there on, it gets divvied out to each staff.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right.
Yeah, excuse me,
Yes,
again,
Commissioner Robbins.
I would like to see also the budget was 0.
We've got that. We'll do it at 0 and at 3.
Great, thank you.
All right, we're going to go back to Commissioner Kessler. If you could step to the podium, please, although the podium is,
It's right here. We received a letter today, well, not today, on January 12th. Dear David, congratulations on receiving the Master Board Member Award for your achievement in IAPD's Board Member Development Program. Your participation in this program is a testament to the outstanding dedication that you have as a commissioner of the Vernon Hills Park District. Thanks to your heartfelt commitment, your citizens are living better lives through parks, recreation, and conservation. Please find and enclose your Master Board Member Award certificate and pin. You will be recognized with a photo and mentioned at the IAPD's award ceremony during the Soaring to New Heights Conference. Again, congratulations. So, David.
thank you.
I have 2 awards for you. This beautiful award right here, and a lovely plaque right here
Grab those, Dave.
that is so well earned on so many levels. Here's this. Congratulations, Dave.
Pictures after, Dave. Don't let me forget.
Thank you all very much.
Nice job.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Commissioner comments. Commissioner Kessler.
David, I just want to say thank you for all you've done. No, really, you're a big part of everything that we do at the Park District,
Thank you.
and appreciate everything. And also just want to wish Amy a speedy recovery. Sorry to hear that. We miss you, but come back soon.
Commissioner Moline?
I'm good. Congratulations, Dave, but otherwise I'm good.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Robbins?
Congratulations, David.
Thank you. Commissioner Sente?
Ditto. I think it sets a really nice example for the rest of us. I know it takes extra time to go through all that, so congratulations and thank you. I just also wanted to mention, I don't know if it's something we wanted to try at a staff level, but today I was listening to a racial inequity presentation, and they had a great presentation on, I forget the word now, it's something about like racial cafes or something, but it was just, you know, they go through with like 8 to 12 people and kind of lead through a workshop, and I don't know, it's kind of digging a little bit deeper than, you know, I know everyone's done something, or most people have at the basic level, but if we felt that that might be something that you might want to look into, I just wanted to mention it was really outstanding.
It is in our goals, and it's just been such a crazy year that we, but Jessica and I have been putting aside a lot of information on the Paderma board. I've been working with a wonderful consultant. We have lots of ideas, and the hard thing is, like you say, that maybe is digging deeper. Do we need to start with, you know, overall policy or statement, and then goals for the district as a whole, or for the board, you know? So I think there's a lot of work to be done, but it's definitely something we don't want to lose sight of, and we want to form a committee. So right now, we're kind of putting all that on a list, and then hopefully next year, when things are a little calmer, we can start actually moving on some of it.
I have it right here. It's
Yeah.
called Healing Cafes.
Healing cafes.
I hadn't heard that term before, but, you know, I don't know which is what to do first, whether, you know, the outline or maybe even get some ideas through that, because there's a bit of brainstorming that goes on in that.
IPRA has been doing a lot as well in the
Yeah.
diversity section.
Yeah,
So, yeah, we do have a lot of resources. It's just,
Right.
where do we want to start?
Just glad to hear that we're working on that. Thank you.
And lastly, my comments, thank you all for your support. The staff, the board, the residents, you make this job immensely enjoyable, so thank you all. Could I have a motion to enter a closed session under Section 2C1 of the Illinois Opens Meeting Act to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee of the public body, and Section 2C2 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act to discuss the matters between the public body and its employees concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of the employee.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Sente,
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins.
Yes.
Commissioner Moline,
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler,
Yes.
President Dorhofer.
Yes, we are adjourned to closed session.